Hello friends, happy to be chatting with you today. You can see I am joined by a very tall stack of books here, and what you cannot see is that just off camera there is a slightly shorter stack of books, and I'm actually looking at a third stack of books over there in the corner on my computer desk. So I am participating once again in the 52 book challenge. I've got my computer here in my lap as well. So what I thought I would do is I'm probably going to have to splice together a bunch of smaller clips, but I wanted to share with you the 52 books or about 52 books that I am planning to read to satisfy the prompts for the 52 book challenge. I'm going to have to cut everything all together because I'm going to have to just go with 5 or 10 prompts at a time, because there's no way I can read from my computer, dig through these stacks, and then keep everything in order all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably just put all of these stacks on the floor in front of me so that I can read the spines, and then I'll take, say, 5 or 10 books at a time, and we'll talk through the prompts that I'm going to be using the books that I'm going to be using to satisfy the prompts. That's how I meant to say that. So, without further ado, let's get started. Since I am going to be talking about roughly 50 books, I don't feel like I have the time to give a synopsis of every single one. Just know that the prompt that I'm trying to fit is, hopefully some indication of what the book is about. So, if you are unfamiliar, the 52 Book Club Challenge is a group on Facebook. I don't know. I think it was started on Facebook. They're also on Instagram, and there's a team of admins, but they choose 52 prompts, and the idea is that you will read 52 books throughout the year. For some folks, they totally blow this out of the water. Some people, it's everything they can do to complete the challenge. But the idea is just to, sort of get you out of your shell and reading things that you might that you might not otherwise read, and it is a challenge. So I had a hard time. I did find that the prompts for this year were quite a bit more challenging than the prompts for the last couple of years. I will leave a link to the Facebook group also in the description box, so if you want to join or check it out, you can. There's no cost to join, and really there's just sort of the, patting yourself on the back and saying, hey, I read 52 books, or I finished the challenge. Super low stakes, honestly, but also super fun. And nice to challenge you. So the idea is that you will average a book per week throughout the year. Lots of folks will finish this in, say a few months. And then for some people on, December 31st, they're going to be reading all the way up until the ball drops. So having said that, the list of prompts for 2025 was published back, I want to say maybe the end of November, beginning of December. And lots of folks like to plan out how they're going to win the challenge. And so I have done that. I am a planner through and through, so I will read more than 52 books this year, but these are the books that I'm likely to read to fit the challenge prompts. And maybe I will read all of these, and that's how I will satisfy the challenge. Maybe I'll find some other books to read. So I always have, I start out with a spreadsheet. It's a Google sheet at the beginning of the year, and I have all of the prompts listed on one side, and then I say, what are the books that I'm planning to read to meet that challenge? And then I've got another column that says, okay, what is the book that I actually read to, satisfy that prompt for the challenge? So I'm happy to share that with you. If you are interested, super easy to also create your own. But This is how I'm keeping track. I also keep track in Goodreads, just on my, in the Goodreads reading challenge. I'm attempting 80 books this year for the Goodreads reading challenge. That was the same thing that I set my goal at for last year, and I did exceed that a little bit. So feel free to join me on Goodreads, add me as a friend there so you can keep up with what I am reading as well. Let's get into it. For prompt number 1, we have a pun in the title. And for that prompt, I am planning to read The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. This is by Allie Carter. I don't know if this is a debut. It did just come out in December of 2024. You'll notice that most of the books that I'm using for this challenge are Book of the Month books. I'm really, really trying to get through my backlog of Book of the Month. So I'm going to do my best. There are some that I will find on Libby, and I'll read through audiobook and some through Kindle as well. But for the most part, what you're going to see here are going to be Book of the Month books. However, that's not the case for prompt number 2, so I'm immediately contradicting myself. Prompt number 2 is a character with red hair, and I am told that Chloe Brown from Get a Life, Chloe Brown, is a redhead. This is by Talia Hibbard. I have read several of her books. I feel like not all of her backlist, but I know that I have read several. I have not read any of the Brown sisters. So that's going to be a new, I think it's a trilogy. So yeah, that's going to be a new one for me. But Get a Life, Chloe Brown for a character with red hair. For prompt number 3, we have a title that starts with the letter M. I picked this book up on vacation. I think this was maybe when we were in Florida. I can't remember. But anyway, it's by Rufy Thorpe, and it's Margot's Got Money Troubles. I heard a lot about this. Like, a lot of people had this on their TBR when it first came out, and then I don't really remember actually seeing anybody review it. So I don't know. I will hopefully provide a review for you. I don't know when I'm going to read that, but it's on my list for this prompt. Prompt number 4 is title that starts with the letter N. Hopefully, I will finally be reading Ninth House. I attempted to start this last year. In fact, I got to page 8. So, not all that far at all. This is a dark academia book, and I can't remember what the sequel to it is called. Ninth House and I don't know. Anyway, I own that one as well. Haven't read either one of them. I started this one, or tried to start it, and it seemed really intense, and my brain just couldn't handle it at the time. So I abandoned it very quickly. So yeah, there we go. Obviously, it's a chunky one, so this is going to take some time. That's going to take some time, I feel like. Okay, moving on. We got a lot to cover. Number 5 is, the prompt says the plot contains a heist. This is one I don't have to show you. Maybe I will be able to find the cover art and put it here for you. But this one is, I'm planning to read To Have and To Heist by Sarah Desai. This one, I have it on, I'm on the holds list for Libby. I will have several of them, and the reason why I chose this one is because there is there's a list or a group or a something on Goodreads where you can see, all of the different recommended titles, and this was one that was recommended to satisfy this prompt. So I went to Libby, found it, put it on hold, and there are probably lots of folks that are also trying to read this to satisfy this prompt, so who knows when I'm going to get around to that, when it's going to be my turn. But that's the plan for now. Number 6 is another one I don't have to show you currently. The prompt is for genre 1 set in spring. And so for 6, 7, 8, and 9, there are 4 different genres to match the 4 seasons. And the idea is you're supposed to pick a different genre and a different season for each one. So, for example, a romance set in spring, a thriller set in fall, you know, all the way for all 4 of them. So for genre 1, set in spring, I will be reading Spring Fever by Mary Kay Andrews. I feel like I'm going to be reading that pretty soon because last week, so I had that one on hold through Libby as well, and last week it came available, but I didn't want to read it because it was before the end of the year, and so I just pushed it. You know, I was like, oh, deliver later. So I feel like that's going to be coming up again soon, so I'm very likely to be reading that audiobook probably pretty soon. The next, okay, so then for prompt 7, genre 2 is set in summer. And for this one, I have The Wedding People by Allison, I think it's Esbach. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. I think this is a contemporary, but I don't actually know. Let's see, sometimes, well, that one just says August. No, I don't know. I think maybe I just decided that this was a contemporary. I don't know. I don't actually know what the genre is for this one, but we're going to be reading The Wedding People. For genre 3, which is prompt number 8, it's set in autumn. I'm going to be attempting another big beast. 11/22/63 by Stephen King. Full disclosure, I have started this one as well. I started this in 2023, and I'm actually 240 pages in, which is insane. That's almost a whole novel, but this book is 847 pages, so I still have 607 pages left to read. So I'm hoping to finish it this year. When I got through those first 240 pages, it got super graphic, and I just needed to take a break. So, I've never read King before. I'm a big fat baby. Everybody knows that. I'm afraid of my own shadow. So, it got really intense for me. I had to set it to the side. So, I'm going to attempt it again. I have heard that it's a phenomenal story, and if there's any King that I will be able to read, it's going to be this one. So, I'm going to try it again. I'm probably going to maybe go back a couple of chapters. I pretty vividly remember what has happened up to this point. So I might just read the last couple of chapters that I read and then kind of go forward from there. Okay, genre 4 is set in winter. I will be reading A Home for the Holidays. This is by Taylor Hahn. And this is another book of the month. I just got it in December, so I'm probably going to read this one pretty soon. I feel like since we're still kind of in the Christmas mood spirit, I don't know. Is your Christmas tree still up? Are you still decorated for the holidays? Because we basically had everything torn down within 3 days. Just curious. Just wanted to know. Prompt number 10 is the author's last name is also a first name. And so I'm going to be reading Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. This is one that I got a couple of years ago in Book of the Month. So I'm hopeful that I will be able to read it. But we shall see how that goes. Okay, I'm going to clear off these books and make a little bit of room. I'll be right back. Okay, the next prompt is prompt number 11, which is a prequel. And for this one, I'm planning to read Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. Obviously a prequel to Legends and Lattes, which everyone loved. I loved it. So yeah, I don't know. I own the physical copy of Legends and Lattes, but I don't own Bookshops and Bone Dust yet. So maybe I'll buy it, or maybe it'll be available on Libby. The next one, prompt number 12, has a moon on the cover. I'm going to read House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I think this is the first one in the Crescent City, whatever that is, series. I've never read any of them. I checked them out on my Kindle last year, and then I never got to it. I was so underwater last year, so I have not read any of them yet. I'm fairly certain this is the first one. The next one is prompt number 13. Title has 10 letters or less. we're going to go with 0 Days by Ruth Ware. This one came out, you can see I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive. I think this one came out in, was it 23 or 24? I don't know, but I was really excited when it came out, and then I literally never picked it up. So this one is copyright 2023. I was really, like I said, I was really excited and then still haven't read it. Next we have prompt number 14, which is a climate fiction. I'm going to read The Wild Robot by, who wrote that? Peter Brown. I think this is a middle grade. My son and I watched the movie of The Wild Robot about a month or so ago. It was so adorable. We totally loved it. So I'm excited to read the book now. Next, we have prompt number 15, includes Latin American history. This is another one I've had on my shelf for a while that I really should have read by now. I'll be reading Of Women and Salt by Gabriela Garcia. I have heard that this one has a couple of like content warnings, trigger warnings. Gonna be a tough one, but another one that's, like an important one to read and get out there. Prompt number 16 is the author has won an Edgar Award. And so for this one, I'm going to read something by Agatha Christie. As of right now, I have And Then There Were None. I've read like Daisy Darker, which I know is kind of a retelling of And Then There Were None. And I felt like I had read this back when I was like a teenager, but I can't remember that. So I'm going to be reading something by Agatha Christie, probably And Then There Were None, or something else if it comes up in my library. For prompt number 17, this is one where I mentioned that like I found some of these prompts way tougher. The next for 17 is Told in Verse. So I was reading through the recommendations list on Goodreads, didn't really see a ton that was, really just caught my eye. And then I saw Starfish by Lisa Phipps, and this is a middle grade. I don't really remember all that much about it, but it's about 256 pages, which is the perfect length for a middle grade. And I feel like, this is going to be one of those where it's probably going to have some good life lessons in it, but also, probably, hopefully, maybe a little bit lighter and easier to get through. So I've got some pretty heavy ones here on the list, so it will be nice to, have a few that will be quicker reads. All right, next we have, and I promise I'm going to show you some more books here soon. It's just that all of these in this section happen to be ones that I don't own. So for prompt number 18, the prompt is a character who can fly. I am hopeful that I will be able to read Onyx Storm, which is by Rebecca Yarros. I know not everyone loved Fourth Wing. I thought it was entertaining. I could see where, I definitely feel like it's YA. I don't feel like that's like an adult fantasy. But, I was intrigued by the cliffhanger in the second one. I can't even remember what the second one was called. Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Yeah, that sounds right. So I was intrigued by the cliffhanger in that one, and I listened to both of those on audiobooks through my library. Onyx Storm doesn't. The pub date is the 21st of this month, so it's not even, I can't even put a hold on it yet in my library, so I've just said, like, notify me when it's available. So hopefully I won't have to wait too long to read that one. Okay, next we have prompt number 19, has short chapters, and for that one I'm going to be reading Home Cooking by Lori Colwin. This was one completely not on my radar, but you can see, again, it's got the Book of the Month logo. I needed to put something in my box for book of the month. And I was reading through, and this is a super short book. It was actually published posthumously. She passed away many years ago. Yeah, she tells about stories in the kitchen and, about feeding people and all those types of things. So, curious to read that one. And evidently it has short chapters. Okay, next we have prompt number 20, which is a fairy tale retelling. Okay, go with me on this one, because what I'm planning to read is Lore Olympus Volume 1. This is a graphic novel. Really lovely graphics. I mean, like some pretty cool graphics. But I have 3 of these volumes, I think. 2 or 3 of these. Have not touched them. I got them for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I wanted them because everybody was reading them at the time. I was gifted them, and then they've sat on my bookshelf. So, while I know mythology, maybe that's a stretch for fairy tale, but we're going with it. My rules, my challenge. Okay, then next we have prompt number 21 is a character's name in the title. So for that, I'm going to be reading The Many Lives of Mama Love. This is by Laura Love Hardin, and this is basically like a memoir autobiography. So Mama Love, that's what they called her. Okay. Let me see. Let me grab another handful of books. I'll be right back. Okay, for prompt number 22, the prompt is found family trope. And so this is another one. I actually will be reading this. I'm getting it through the library, but I'm going to be reading it on my Kindle. And I got notification the other day that my hold is ready, so I need to go ahead and check it out. I'm going to be reading Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I don't read as much on my Kindle as I should and as I want to, but I've tried to make that a little bit bigger of a priority the last couple of years, so this is one I'm going to be reading on my Kindle. Next we have prompt number 23, which is A Sprayed Edge. I'm just taking it for face value on this one because the list says that Deep End by Allie Hazelwood is going to have a sprayed edge. Now the pub date on that one is February 4th. So I don't know. I've not seen it. I'm imagining probably it's one of the special editions that's going to have the sprayed edge. But there you go. I have, I think, almost all of Allie Hazelwood's books in hard copy. So I probably will go ahead and buy that one when it comes out, I'm sure. Next we have prompt number 24, and that is, the title is a spoiler. For that, I am using I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I've read a couple by Casey McQuiston. I think she did Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I thought was really cute. I've read a couple by her. So I bought this again a couple years ago. Really kind of before I knew my reading tastes. I was just excited to like be watching BookTube and was buying everything that people were talking about. So I bought it, and now it's sat on my shelf for a couple of years. So hoping to, as I say, work through some of these that I've just had forever that I haven't read yet. Next, we have prompt number 25, Breaks the Fourth Wall. And for this one, I have one of the Bridgerton novels. I'm about halfway through the 8 Bridgerton books. I've listened to all of them on audiobook through Libby. I have really enjoyed that. So I'm sure that I will use one of them to satisfy the fourth wall prompt. Okay, next we have prompt number 26. I need to start talking faster here. Prompt number 26 is More Than a Million Copies Sold. For this one, I'm using One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. It's kind of hard to find how many copies are sold of a book, but I'm fairly certain I saw that on like Google or something. I don't know. Okay, next we have prompt number 27, Features a Magician. For that, I'm reading The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. A lot of Leigh Bardugo on this list. with Ninth House and now The Familiar. She's got some intense, like very complex world building and stuff like that. So I'm hopeful that I'm not like super overwhelming myself here. Okay, next we have prompt number 28 is a crossover set in a shared universe. And so again, I'm just going on what was on the reading list for this one. So we have a Catherine Center book, The Rom-Commers. I feel like I had started to read this last year and I couldn't get into it. Totally kidding. That's the next book. This one, Happiness for Beginners, is what I'm using for prompt number 29. So it's saying that this book shares a universe with prompt number 28. So these two are in a shared universe. I'm reading the Rom-Commers for 28, and then for 29, I'm going to try again on Happiness for Beginners. So you can see lots of partially read books this year. So I'm on page 80. I probably will start it over. I don't know. There's 342 pages in this book, so probably need to go ahead and start that over. But that's prompt 29. For prompt number 30, we're reading a book that's in the public domain. I am planning to read Emma by Jane Austen. That could potentially change. I don't know, but for right now, I would like to read more classics and more older literature. So for right now, that's what I'm planning to. Okay, for prompt number 31, it's the audiobook has multiple narrators. And for this one, again, we've got a partial read. Geez, I did not realize how many books I mean, I knew like last year especially, I just was in the slumpiest slump. I could not, like, I would read a little bit and then I would lose interest, couldn't get into the book, didn't like the protagonist, whatever it was. So I just like kept putting books down and picking up something else, and I would listen to a lot of audiobooks, but even like a lot of the audiobooks, I don't know, I was just slumpy last year. So I started this one. I remember that I started this one actually in 2023. I didn't even tell you what it was. It's The Only Plane in the Sky. It's an oral history of 9/11. And I actually read a good chunk of this. So I'm on page 208. And I don't know how many. There's 488 pages in this book. And it's dusty. But I read this on 9/11 in 2023. And so my idea was that I was going to pick it up and read it again and finish it on 9/11 of 2024. And I just never did that. So I may save this until September and try to finish it off then. But I might not. But what I started to say about that is that the audiobook of this evidently has multiple narrators. I, of course, will be reading the physical copy, but I might try to get the audiobook as well to, read along with. Okay, prompt number 32 includes a diary entry, and I'm going to be reading Evil Eye by Etaf Ram. This is the woman who wrote A Woman Is No Man, and let me tell you, that book was like revolutionary for me. That is another book that I felt like absolutely everyone should read. Heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And I have no doubt that this is going to be the same way. Okay. I know I said less commentary and more just getting through it. Okay, here's an easy one. Prompt number 33 is a standalone novel. I don't have anything for, specifically set for this one. I figure I'm going to find a lot of standalone novels that I can probably slot into this place. So that's probably just going to be one that when I read something and it's a standalone, not part of a series, I'll just slot it in there. I'm sure there's going to be many of those over, throughout the year. Next, we have prompt number 34, a direction in the title. This is another one where it's sort of open to interpretation. I'm going to be reading Is She Really Going Out with Him? This is by Sophie Cousins. out. There's my direction in the title. I was questioning myself on that one, but then I saw on the list someone had put in a book, and there's in the title it was into. So I was like, okay, well, if in is a direction, then so is out, right? That was my rationale for that. Moving on. Prompt number 35, written in the third person, Educated by Tara Westover. Again, this was one I was supposed to buddy read back in like 2023 or 2024, and literally on the afternoon of the first day of the buddy read, the gal messaged me and she was like, this is crazy. I'm not into this like cult, whatever she's talking about. I'm DNFing, so you can read it if you feel like it, but you're on your own. And so I was like, okay, cool story. So I never actually ended up reading it. My book club, I picked that book up a couple of years ago because my book club read it as one of their selections, but that was a couple years before I joined the group. And so I know I'm basically like the last person on earth who has not read it. So maybe this will be my year. Next, prompt number 36. The final sentence is less than 6 words long. Allegedly, that is the case for Babel by R.F. Kuang. I, again, have wanted to read this. I picked this up. I literally ordered it, special order, got the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition on its pub date, was so excited. The Barnes & Noble bookseller was so excited, like when I went to go into the store to pick it up. She was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You're going to love it. 2 years later, I still haven't read it. So hoping to change that this year. Okay, next we have, oh wait, I'm out of books. Hold on. Okay, for prompt number 37, it is a genre chosen for you by someone else. I put a poll up on my Instagram and on my Facebook, and I was like, hey, here's the genres that I'm looking to choose from. And it was like mystery, historical romance, historical fiction, contemporary, thriller, and a memoir. And by far and away, thriller was the one that was chosen. So for the thriller, I'm going to be reading The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. This came out toward the end of last year, and I just need to go ahead and read it. I know that Frida is polarizing. I'm just going to read it. I'm just going to read it. Okay, next we have number 38 is an adventure story, and so for that I'm going to read The Cartographers by Peng Shepherd. This is another one where I definitely should have read it a couple of years ago. I bought it by Book of the Month in the month that it came out, and I just never read it. Okay, number 39 has an epigraph. For that, I'm going to use The Wives, which is a memoir by Simone Garindo. This was the one that I had put up, and I was like, hey, if you choose memoir, I'm going to read this one. So this one didn't get chosen. A couple of people did say read a memoir, but the thriller got outvoted it, so that's what we ended up with. Okay, number 40 is another one that's going to be a challenging prompt for me. It is a stream of consciousness narrative. And I read through the list and nothing really spoke to me. A lot of them were like sci-fi, or they just were, I don't know, were like books that didn't really speak to me. So I don't know what I'm going to read for that. That's going to be a game time decision. I'm hopefully just going to find one that fits the prompt and stick it in there. For number 41, we have the cover font is in a primary color. And so for that, I'm going to read Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. And obviously you're going, oh, that's black. No, that's red. Right there. The never is in red. So this is a nice short one. It's probably less than 300 pages if I had to guess. Oh, wait, I think I have it written down here. Yeah, 275. So that's going to hopefully balance out some of these chunkier ones that I've got on the list. For prompt number 42, we have a non-human antagonist. And so this was another one that I got from the recommendations list. I'm hoping to read or listen to. Actually, I have heard that I really need to listen to it. I'm going to do Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. So many people have said that it's just like phenomenal. Again, probably one of the last people who is an avid reader who hasn't read it. So I'm gonna go for that one this year. Number 43 explores social class. And so for that one, I'm choosing The Mayor of Maxwell Street. This is by Avery Cunningham. It is a historical fiction. And it's exploring, I think it's the 1920s. Yeah, the year is 1921. And America is burning. A fire of vice and virtue rages on every shore, and Chicago is its beating heart. So this, I think, is going to be a really good one. Again, I got it through Book of the Month. I really have been enjoying some of the historical fiction. I've got another one coming up here in just a minute, but yeah, I've really been enjoying that lately. So going to be reading that one. And then for prompt number 44, A Celebrity on the Cover, I'm going to read Be Ready When the Luck Happens by Ina Garten. I love the Barefoot Contessa. I actually already have checked out the audiobook because I've heard that she's really, really good. So I'll be using that one, and of course it's her own memoir / autobiography. So she is on the cover. That's my celebrity on the cover, and she also narrates the audiobook. So I love to hear. I always love to hear it when the author reads their own works, but I really love it when it is, an autobiography or a memoir that the author reads themselves. Okay, friends, we are so close to the end. Number 45 is the author releases more than one book a year. And no, this is the one we just talked about. Hold on. Just kidding. This one, they're kind of both the same color. Okay, so we have Lisa Jewell is the author that evidently releases more than one per year. And I'm going to be reading None of This Is True. I have kind of stayed away from Lisa Jewell since I read And Then She Was Gone. Yeah, that one freaked me out. That was the first Lisa Jewell, and I did not realize how, what a mind bender that is. Yeah, so I've kind of stayed away from her, although my sister-in-law recommended this one, and she said it was really, really good. So I blame Jill if I hate it. Okay, next is another kind of a gimme prompt. I don't have anything slated for this because the prompt is read in a Burr month. So that just means basically you read it toward the end of the year, September, October, November, December. So when we get there, I'll just slot something in there. Next, we have prompt number 47. I think it was Blue. And this is supposed to be a play on, when someone goes into a bookstore or someone goes into the library and they say, I can't remember what it was called, but I think it was Blue. And so for this is my sort of tongue-in-cheek response to that. I'm going to be reading Blue Sisters by Coco Malore. Yeah. I thought that was funny. I think it is blue because they're the Blue Sisters. Okay. We've got a couple more. Number 48 is related to the word puzzle. And for that, I'm going to be reading P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. This, as I understand, is an enemies kind of a thing. I don't know if it's ex-lovers to enemies. They're thrown together and they have to figure out this puzzle of clues that is left. So yeah, so there we go. I'm gonna be evidently that's related to the word puzzle. Next we have prompt number 49, and this is one I don't have anything slated for this right now. We have the prompt is set in a country with an active volcano. So I don't know, because aren't there technically active volcanoes in Hawaii? I think so. Basically anything that's set in the United States could satisfy that prompt. That's what that's what someone commented in the group anyway. So I have no idea what I'm going to, again, that's just one I'm going to slate in there. If I read something, then I'm going to stick it in there. Prompt number 50 is set in the 1940s, and I'm going to be reading The First Ladies. This is by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. Let me be honest, I started this today. I'm like 10 pages in, something like that. 6 pages in. Just kidding. I'm 6 pages in. This is about Mary McLeod Bethune and Eleanor Roosevelt, how they became friends. I am so glad that I chose this book. I bought this through Book of the Month back, I think maybe over the summer, and I didn't read it last year, obviously. But on New Year's Eve, I watched the show, The 6888, which is on Netflix. It's about this black women's cavalry unit, unit that went to Europe in World War II, and they basically fixed the whole mail system. It was such a good movie, and it's like one of those where you're like, as a woman, you're you're frustrated with how they're treated and how they're talked to, but it's a super important story. But it brushes on the relationship between these two women. And this is basically like how that unit got sent over there and how that problem got solved. So I'm really, really excited. Like I said, I'm only 6 pages in. I just started it earlier today, but I'm really excited to read that one because I loved The 6888. If you haven't seen it, run to Netflix right now and go watch it. After this video, we're almost done. Okay, prompt number 51 is 300 to 400 pages long. For that, I'm going to be reading Listen for the Lie. This is by Amy Tintera. This is 333 pages, so it perfectly fits in there, 300 to 400 pages. And then prompt number 52 is published in 2025. Again, most of the books that I get through Book of the Month this year are probably going to fit this prompt. So I'm sure at some point I will be reading a book that is published in 2025. So I just don't have anything slated for that spot. When it comes around, then I'll put something in there. That is my probably very long-winded take on what I'm planning and hoping to read for the 52 book challenge this year. If you are participating, please let me know. I always love to, support other readers, would love to cheer you on, would also love to be friends on Goodreads, and just, I'm kind of nosy that way, and I like to see what other people are reading and enjoying and what your thoughts are. So if you're participating in the challenge, drop me a link down below and let me know. My Goodreads is in the description box, so give me a follow over there and let's be friends. Got some other links in the description box as well. I'll link to the 52 book challenge on Facebook, so you can check that out and see the list of prompts and everything. And we will see. I'm very, very hopeful for my reading year this year. My goal was 80 last year because I did start grad school and I just wasn't sure what that was going to look like. I listened to a lot of audiobooks, and in fact I picked up The First Ladies this morning and I was reading it in the car when we were running errands, and my husband said, "You haven't read a real book in a long time." Like, because he sees me with my AirPods in all the time, but he knows that I don't have time to really just like sit down and read. So yes, why do I have all of these physical copies of books? Because I have hope. Because I am hopeful that at some point I will be able to sit down and physically read a book. One can dream, right? Anyway, check me out in Goodreads down below. Drop me a comment and let me know what you're going to be reading this year and what your goals are. And thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.